Hey, I'm Mike Klijanowicz, associate broker with Cummins and Company Realtors here in Perry Hall, right here on Bel Air Road, next to Canella's Deli. For those of you who know that's like probably the best deli ever in Perry Hall, but there's other delis that are good too, like Ravage Deli's really good. There's actually a whole bunch of delis that are really good, but I go to Canella's all the time because it's right next door, as you can tell, with my physique. But anyway, today what I wanted to do is something different. Okay, I want to put together a video for first-time home buyers or people who want to buy their first house or a house and maybe haven't done it in a long time and just kind of need a refresher of what the process is and what it entails. What I'm going to do here is I'm basically going to go through the same process that I go through when I do an individual consultation with a buyer or I do during my first time homebuyer seminars in person. But see, I realized that not everybody can make the first time homebuyer seminar when we do them. And I also realized that not everybody can make it to a in-person confidential interview. Sometimes I work with clients who are out of state and they're only going to be in town a very short period of time and need to find a house. So I need to have a resource that I can direct them to so they understand the process of buying the house. So that's why I figured we'll just do a video and I can refer people to the video when they want to ask about that. So and same thing, even if you did like a webinar, seminar, or whatever, not everybody can make that too. So that way, this video is going to be there forever and ever on YouTube, and people can watch it whenever they want to watch it. So anyway, so the first thing to talk about um, in the whole home buying process is probably the biggest thing that people are worried about is who are real estate agents and who do they represent? Well, you have agents out there who represent the seller, and then there's agents out there who represent the buyer. And seller agents are agents who, if you drive up to the house and you see the for sale sign on the front lawn, and you call the person on that sign, it's going to be a seller's agent. If you go to an open house and you just walk in the house and just want to see the house, whatever, the agent in there is going to be representing the seller. Okay. If you make an inquiry online and want to know more about a house, you think you're going to be talking to a seller's agent, but who you're actually talking to is an agent who's paying to get a lead call for that specific zip code. So if you go to like Zillow or Realtor.com or Homes.com or any of these websites out there and you make an inquiry, just be prepared to be bombarded with phone calls and text messages about, I need you to come in and we need to meet and I need to work with you and blah, 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 right? So you don't want to do that. What you want to do instead is you want to find a good agent who you can trust, a good local resource for you, you know, and start by asking your friends, start by asking your family, who did you use? Who do you recommend? See who has most of the inventory in the area that you're looking at. And then also decide, do I want to work with somebody who runs a team or not? Because the thing is, with the team, you might see the guy or the lady on the sign in the front yard and think, man, they're super successful. I can't wait to work with them, but you're never going to work with them because they don't go take buyers out. They don't work with buyers. They sit back and they go play golf at the country club and go to their beach house at the beach and their third home in Florida and whatever. They're always traveling. They're never around. Instead, they pawn you off to an agent who might be brand new that they've just put in their training program, and they're the ones that are following up with you. So when you call these leads and these lead calls, that's where you're going. You're going to agent, with one of these big teams that spend all this money on trying to make the phone ring. So is that who you want to work with, or do you want to work with an agent who's actually experienced, that's been in the business for 20 years or so, like me, that sold 1,000+ homes like me, that knows a thing or two about real estate, that is an associate broker, not just a real estate salesperson. There's a big difference in knowledge and education and what it takes to be an associate broker versus being a salesperson. So Some you want to look into. But anyway, so you have agents who represent the seller. And what's important to know is that agents who represent the seller's interest only. So you can go to an open house and you can find a house and you can fall in love with it. And that agent can write the contract for you that you want to put in. They can, put all the terms on there that you want to put in. They can help you go to the home inspection that you want. They can help you go to the title company and settlement. They can recommend people to you, all that stuff, but they do not work for you. So what that means is, when you tell them things like, I'd really pay 20,000 more for this house if I had to, well, that's going to go back to the seller. You don't think it is. You think, oh, I'm going to get a better deal because I'm going through the listing agent and they don't have to pay a buyer's agent's commission. Well, that's wrong because let's talk about how commissions work. There's a lot of misinformation out there about real estate commissions and how they're paid. When I meet with a seller to talk about listing their property, I talk about how much commission are you going to pay total for the transaction. How much are you going to pay me as your agent, and how much are you going to pay a buyer's agent if they bring you a buyer? And we have that discussion. And it might wind up around 6%. It might be 7%. It might be 5%. Whatever we agree on is what we agree on. And then what happens is if the buyer has an agent, we're going to, at least me, I'm speaking for myself here, not all agents do, but we're going to share part of that total commission with the buyer's agent because we want to be fair and play nice to everybody. We want people to show our properties and sell our houses. And they're not going to do it if they're not getting paid. So as a buyer, you should feel comfortable that you should not have to pay your real estate agent's commission. You should not have to pay it. The agents are going to tell you, well, if you don't, you're going to have to pay if they don't pay and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's a difference of, maybe pay a difference of something. Like if you agree to pay 2.5 or 3% and they're only paying 2%, well, then maybe you have to pay the difference there. That's one thing. But if your agent's sitting there telling you, you got to pay me all this commission, no, you don't, because the way it works is you're going to put in your contract that the sellers agree to pay so much of the buyer's agent's commission, and it's going to be negotiated between you and the other party. And we're going to put in there what your agent's going to get paid. So if the seller doesn't agree to it, well, then just move on to another house because I got news for you. If the seller's not going to agree to pay a buyer's agent, what do you think they're going to do when you submit your list of home inspection repair request items? They're going to say no to that too. So why work with somebody like that? And there's people out there who think they know it all. People out there even worse for sale by owners who don't even have an agent, that are just rogue people out there doing what they want to do in real estate, and they have no clue what they're doing. Um, and that's when you have all the problems in the transaction. So try to stay away from the for sale by owners. Try to stay away from people who are not fully represented by an agent. You know, you want to have two agents. A good transaction has a seller agent and a buyer agent, and they work together, and then everybody has each other's interests. They have the seller interest and the buyer interest, but the agents should work together to get a deal done, and that's how it works. So that's agency. And I'm sorry I spent so much time on it, but so many people are confused by it. So I just figured I'd talk about it a little bit. There is something called dual agency too, but all that means is it's two agents from the same brokerage working together on a transaction. So even though it's a buyer has a buyer agent, seller has a seller agent, they work for the same broker, so they both work for, say, Cummings and Company, but they each have their own party representing them. So that's all that's saying. Um, so after we talk about agency, the next thing is let's talk about some fun stuff. Let's talk about what you're looking for in a house. What are you looking to buy? Are you looking for a single family? Are you looking for a townhouse? Are you looking for a condo? Are you looking for whatever you're looking for? Um, how many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? How many? Does it have a basement? Do you want a deck? Do you want to walk out? The more specific you can be, the better, because it's going to eliminate all the crap that you don't want to see. So try to be as specific as possible when going through your needs and wants in a home, and areas and zip codes and all that. So after that, we're going to determine your purchasing power. And during that time, you're going to meet with the loan officer. which during our seminars you usually have a loan officer on site that same day who can pull your credit and kind of get everything rolling for you if you want to. No pressure, no obligation, certainly. But if you want to, and then determine your purchasing power and determine three things. How much can you be approved for? How much of a mortgage payment does that look like? And how much money does that have you bringing to the table? So you got to have all those got to line up for you to figure out if it's the right thing for you to do or not. And only you know your budget. You got to think about things like cell phone bills and cable bills and water bills and Baltimore gas and electric bills and property taxes and property insurance and driving your car insurance and all the bills that come with life bills, bills that never go away, um, they got to be factored into your budget, so they might approve you for all this money, but are you comfortable spending the money? And that's where you got to figure it out for yourself, what you're comfortable with and what you're not. But from there, that'll give you a purchase price range because you'll know what you're approved for, which will dictate what's the price range. Then we can go back and we can look at your needs at once and we can take your price range now and I can sign you up with an automatic email search that's directly linked right to my MLS system. This is where all the other websites get their data from anyway. So like it's real time data with us. You're going to get it with no lag time. You're going to get as soon as the house goes in the market that or is coming soon on the market because we do coming soon and active listings and pending. You'll get notified as soon as the house goes on the market, as soon as the house goes pending, as soon as the house is coming soon. So you can jump on this stuff before anybody else. And it's right there and it's accurate and it shows up here first before Zillow and Realtor.com and Homes.com and all the other websites that you look at. It shows up here first. So we can get you signed up with that for free, no obligation. Get you signed up on that. And you can even mark them as your favorites. And you can say, text me and say, hey, Mike, I got all the properties marked as my favorites that I want to see on Saturday when we go out. Can you make appointments for all those properties? And I'd say, yep, no problem. I log right back into the back end of the system. I see everything that you have marked and picked. I make all the appointments, and we're going out on Saturday and looking at all the houses. Like it can be that easy. It can be that easy. And that's what the next step is previewing the homes, and when you go through a process like this and you have a first time home buyer consultation or a home buyer consultation or home buyer seminar that you go to, you have all the process explained to you. So when you go look at houses, you can actually focus on looking at the houses, enjoying what you're looking at, figuring out, does our sofa look good there? Does our table fit there? Bring your tape measure, look at stuff like that. Your agent should be looking at other things. Your agent should be looking at any signs of water penetration in the basement. How old is the water heater? How old is the furnace? How old are the windows? How old is the roof? What are things that are going to need to be replaced in the house in the next couple of years? They should be looking at the home as a home inspector, and if they have the experience, and they're not on one of these teams where they just got hired and they're wet behind the ears with 6 months of sales experience, you know, if they've been in the business, they're going to know what they're looking at. And that's what you want. You want somebody who's trusted, somebody that's been there, somebody that's done that. So preview the homes. And then once you find a house that you like and you're like, man, this is it. This is the one we want. This is what we got to have. Then you make your offer to purchase. And in that offer, you're going to put every single thing in there that you want. All the inclusions, all the exclusions. Um, when your settlement date is, how much of a deposit are you putting down? When does that have to be turned in? Are you getting a home inspection? Are you waiving a home inspection? How many days do you have to get the inspection? Or any other inspections? Is it a well and septic? Do you need a well and septic inspection? Do you need a sewer scope inspection? Do you need any other specialized inspections? Are you going to get a termite inspection? These are all things you're going to talk about and you're going to put in your offer. And your agent's going to help you figure out what you should do or what you shouldn't do. And let's talk about new construction for a minute here, because new construction, just because it's new construction, The process is pretty much the same way. Do not let these builders tell you that you can't have an agent represent you, because you absolutely can. You absolutely can. And you absolutely should, because you need somebody looking out for your interests. It's like going into court, right? You go into court and you're getting sued. Do you want to have an attorney representing you? Or are you just going to do it yourself and trust the attorney who's suing you? Because when you go in to meet with a builder and you meet with their rep, that's what you're doing. You're meeting with the rep who represents the builder, and you're trusting them, but they're the ones that are selling you or suing you, like the attorney, right? So it makes sense to have your own representation. People don't think about this stuff, but it's stuff to think about. Um, So anyway, all the contingencies are going to be part of your contract. Everything's going to be in there. And then what's going to happen is your contract's going to be submitted to the seller's agent, and then the seller's agent's going to submit it to the seller, and or they're going to play games. Like some of them like to play games, and they like to hold contracts, and then they like to try to get more contracts and get everybody to bid up higher and make up stuff. I've been there, done that too. Okay, got the T-shirt, and you gotta trust the process, and you just gotta know that things are going to work out the way things are supposed to work out. Reasonably, you should expect to have an answer, I would say, within 24 hours of submitting your contract. No matter what day of the week it is, no matter what holiday of the week it is, doesn't matter. 24 hours, you should have an answer. Sometimes you get an answer within an hour. Sometimes it's quick. Sometimes we get it done and it's signed, and within 2 hours we have a signed contract and everybody's happy. Sometimes it takes a couple of days when you get back and forth and play the game and whatever, and you need to decide, well, what are you willing to do? And the seller needs to decide, well, what are we willing to do? And hopefully you can come to an agreement somewhere in the middle, and everybody's happy. You know, True negotiations are when everybody gets something they want and everybody's happy. That's how you want to end it. You want everybody being happy. So that's what we try. That's what agents try to do. They try to make people happy. So the good ones do. Good ones do. Bad ones just care about getting paid, and they don't care about you at all. And they're out there. Oh, they're out there. So anyway, once you get contract acceptance, that's when all the fun starts. That's when you have your home inspections. Usually the first thing. Well, actually, you do your mortgage application first. So, and again, if you don't have a mortgage loan officer that you're working with, don't worry. If you have a good agent, the agent should have good relationships with loan officers that they can refer you to. Um, I've been there with these loan officers that charge all these extra exorbitant fees and hundreds of dollars and extra fluff fees, I call them. Because what they do is they turn around and then they take the agents out to dinner at some fancy steakhouse or to the country club to play golf or whatever, and that's what they use all this extra money that they charge you for. So I don't work with those kind of guys. I work with people that are giving you the best rate, the best terms, the lowest amount of costs and expenses, and who are responsive 7 days a week like me. Because if you're not willing to work 7 days a week and at least answer phone calls and text messages and get back to people, then real estate is not the right business for you. It's just not. You've got to be available 7 days a week. It's just something we sign up for. So after the loan application is done, your formal loan application is done, which is usually done online, so you don't have to go anywhere. Doesn't cost you any money. Money starts with the contract acceptance. It's when your deposit's going to be turned in. So you can usually get away with $1,000 deposit, or maybe 1% of the purchase price deposit, or whatever you're comfortable with. If you want to show that you're a stronger buyer, maybe you put down even more money than that. So we can talk about that. We can talk about the pros and the cons, but you're going to get your money back when you go to settlement. It'll get credited back to what you need to bring to the table. Will be less whatever you put down. So it'll come back. It's not like you lose it when you put down a deposit. It's held in a non-interest bearing escrow account. We're not making money on it, just sitting there until we go to settlement. A lot of people like title companies to hold your escrow deposits, which I don't feel comfortable with, because they're not protected the same way as you are if your broker holds a deposit. But a lot of these brokers don't want to be responsible for deposits, so they don't do it. We do at Cummings and Company. We will hold your deposit because we take it seriously, and earnest money deposits are serious business. So um, so next step is going to be your home inspection. Typically, that's done within say 10 days of contract acceptance, maybe 7 days of contract acceptance. Give you a little bit of time in there to do the inspection, actually get the report together. If you're going to be asking for any repairs or anything like that from the inspection, you'll be able to do that. And typically, an inspection, let's just say on an average townhouse from 1,500 to 2,000 square feet. It's probably going to be somewhere between $450 to $550 in today's dollars in 2025. So, $450 to $550 is about the going rate for that. Sometimes they can do a little cheaper, depends on the circumstance. But, make sure you get a good home inspector. I have several that I work with. One in particular who's very good, been doing it for like 40 some years, so he knows his stuff. He's done everything. And then also, once the inspection is done, you're going to submit your list of repairs or request repairs to the seller. The seller is going to then say, okay, I'm willing to fix this, but I'm not willing to fix that. Or I'm willing to give you a credit instead of fixing everything. Or I'll fix everything. And everything will be negotiated depending on what their response is. But they have 5 days to get back to you and let you know what, if anything, they're going to do. And if they don't get back to you, then you can just terminate the contract. Another way you can terminate the contract, which is like an ultimate get out of jail free card, is with HOA, homeowner association, or condo association documents. Once you get the actual documents in your possession via email, via hard mail, whatever, you have 5 days or 7 days, depending on what the documents are, to review them and decide if you want to move forward with the purchase or not. You can literally say you don't want to move forward with the purchase because you don't agree with the HOA or the condo docs. So you have every right to do so. You can do that. And I've had people do it. I've had people do that and then they go buy a house in the same community. You can do that. They can't tell you can't do that because it's the law in Maryland. So, um, next thing you're going to worry about is a title company, selecting the right title company. Now, there are title companies out there that have attorneys on staff that do settlements. There's title companies out there that have attorneys on staff that don't do settlements. There's title companies out there that don't have an attorney on staff that sub that stuff out. But they all charge the same fees. So, you decide what you want. Do you want an attorney? Do you not want an attorney? And that's something we can talk about. We have options for all that. And then termite inspection, we already talked about. So, title company, they're also in charge of basically researching the deed, making sure there's no defects in title, making sure property is transferred clean to you, make sure the seller's mortgage is paid off, make sure your mortgage is started the right way, make sure everything's recorded properly with the county and transferred the right way. Which is why it's important to have the correct name that you want on title, on your sales contract, and all that kind of stuff. So as we get closer to settlement, you're going to want to obtain homeowners insurance policy on the house. So that'll cover the whole house in case there's like a fire or there's some major catastrophic event, or something floods in the house from a toilet or a tub or something like that. It's going to cover certain things. So I have a great insurance guy I can refer you to that'll help you do the policy, and you'll probably even want to do your car insurance with them too, because you'll get what's called a multi-policy discount if you do that. Then you're going to want to contact Baltimore Gas and Electric, because that's who we use for utilities around our region in Maryland. And you'll call them and have power and gas and everything turned into your name on the day of settlement. So that way, when we go for the final walkthrough, everything will be working and it'll be in your name for the day of settlement on. Um, then we have the pre-settlement inspection. And one thing I want to talk about here is some agents try to make the mistake and they do the pre-settlement inspection a couple days before settlement. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. A water heater can break. flood everything. A Somebody can break in the house and steal all the copper pipes. Um, Window can get busted. And you could even have a neighbor who was mad because he worked at night and slept during the day when all the renovations were getting done on the house, that he tracked the house and knew when you did your final walkthrough and decided to go in and completely demolish the entire house and destroy it after you did your final walkthrough, because when you bought it, then it was yours because you didn't do the walkthrough the day of settlement or you would have seen it. And all those things I just talked about, they actually happened to my clients. One of them happened to me, the copper pipes. I had an investment property I was buying. I mean, jokes on them. I was rehabbing the whole house anyway, so I was going to replace all the pipes anyway. But they literally stole all my pipes, man. They stole all my copper pipes. So I had the police involved and everything. It was crazy. But anyway, so you always want to do your pre-settlement inspection right before settlement, the day of settlement, right before settlement. Know it before you own it. That's what one of my inspector slogans is, and that's what it is know it before you own it. If there's going to be a problem, we can address it at the table. We can hold some of the money, the seller's money in escrow, to alleviate the problem if we need to. But, if you don't know about the problem and you do a couple days before and then there is a problem, you just bought it and it's your problem now and you got to deal with it. There's something to think about. What else did I want to talk about? Something in my head and it slipped. It just went through my mind like that. Settlement typically is only needs to be about 30 or 45 minutes long. It doesn't need to be forever. If everything's done right, this whole process is done right, it's a smooth process. Now you can go out and you can enjoy looking for a home because all your questions are answered. And if you have more questions, you can reach out to me. But settlement should be a smooth, nice, easy process for you. You can do it usually at your real estate agent's office, or you can do it at the title company's office, or sometimes we even do it at the property itself, depending on if we have enough, people wanting to do that. And we have enough space to be able to sign everything everywhere. It's not completely vacant. We need like counters that we can sign stuff on. And then, you're going to have moving day after that. And this whole process, from beginning to end, from the day you get your contract accepted to the day you're going to settlement, is usually about 30 to 45 days, maybe as much as 60 days, because that's how long the maximum is usually to be able to lock in your interest rate for. And you just got to just determine, it's determined the length on who's the loan officer you're working with, what type of financing you're doing. Are you doing conventional? Are you doing FHA? Are you doing VA? Are you doing 203K? Are you doing hard money? What are you doing? So there's a lot of different stuff out there, but we can talk to you about that on a one-on-one consultation about your specific situation and what's best for you. Because everybody's situation is different. Um, but moving day, doesn't have to be stressful. It can be nice and easy. You just get your stuff, you just move it on in. Oh, this is the thing I want to talk to you about too. This happens sometimes. I just want to put this out there because a lot of people get confused about it. But sometimes the sellers of the property that you're buying need what's called a rent back agreement, meaning they're going to rent back from you once the property settles, so they can either settle on another property or have some time to move from that property into another property. So, like if you're living at home with your parents and you can give the sellers like a 30-day rent back, they're actually going to pay, they're going to give you a check at settlement to cover your mortgage for the month that they're staying in the house. And then they're going to use that time to settle and move their stuff out into the next property that they're moving to. So sometimes we need to work with them to do something like that. And we hold some money, we'll hold some money in escrow, maybe with the title company to make sure there wasn't major damages when they moved the stuff out of the house, and do another walkthrough and just make sure everything's good to go from there. So, there's safeguards in place, and your agent should be involved in that part of the process as well, going for the walkthrough and everything and making sure everything's good. But pretty much, that's the process from beginning all the way to the end. If you have any more questions about any kind of situation that I might not have discussed in this video, reach out, send me a text message on my phone or call me on my direct cell at 410-236-3331. You can always send me a direct message on Facebook, on my business page. You can email me if you want through my email. However you want to reach out, just reach out. I'm happy to help you. Um, I work with buyers. I still do. It's being in 20 years in the business, but I also do. I have two other agents that are very trusted agents that have been in the business a long time that sometimes I will refer buyers to once I meet with them and do the initial consultation. We're not part of a team or anything. We all run our own individual businesses, but they have experience and they're like me. I would never refer somebody to somebody who isn't like me. So because you need to get the right service. You need to have the right, person serving you and looking out for your interests and integrity and everything. So if you're looking, to buy your first house or you're ready to sit down or you're ready to start the conversation, it's never too early to start planning. I've had people call me a year before they were even ready just to kind of get their feet wet and kind of get an idea of what's going on. And that's okay. It's never too early to start planning. So give me a call, give me a text, get in touch with me, and I'll help you start the process. And it can be fun and enjoyable. It doesn't have to be stressful and crazy like you heard from your friends and how their experiences were. It doesn't have to be like that if you do it the right way and you follow the steps I talked about. So hopefully everybody's learned something from this video. Like, comment, share. Definitely share this with your friends, your family, anybody you know who's going to be buying a house. A lot of information in here. And it applies pretty much all across the country, even though certain things apply just to Maryland. So thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Take care, and God bless all of you. Thanks.